Tell me, what if the key to unlocking your wealth and success was not in what you do, but in what you imagine and feel? I invite you to close your eyes for a moment and imagine that you are already living the life of your dreams, the life that seems so distant, the one filled with endless possibilities, success, and abundance. Feel the ease of it, the freedom that flows through every part of your being, the wealth that surrounds you. The life you've always longed for is no longer a distant vision. It is now. And as you feel it, as you truly experience the emotions of living that life, you begin to realize that it is not something in the future. It is something you can claim now. This is the power of assumption, the key to manifesting everything you desire. When you step into the feeling of already having what you desire, you are no longer merely hoping for it. You are no longer waiting for the world around you to change before you take action. You are acting as though your desire is already fulfilled. In that moment, you are not chasing wealth, you are living in it. You are already the person who has what they want. The world will begin to reflect that, because your internal state is the first step in the manifestation process. In this state, there is no room for doubt, no place for uncertainty. You no longer ask, how will I achieve this? When will it happen? The only question that remains is, what does it feel like to already be there? When you truly connect to the feeling of wealth, abundance, success, and freedom, you align with it on such a deep level that nothing outside of you can stop it from manifesting. You are no longer a passive observer of your circumstances, waiting for things to change. You are now the creator, shaping your reality with every thought and every assumption you make. The assumption that wealth, success, and abundance are already yours allows you to walk in a world that is created for you. You are no longer asking for permission to step into your greatness. You are stepping into it with the certainty that it is already yours. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, the world must conform to your internal reality. It's the most natural law in the universe. What you believe and feel, you will see. Feel it now. The freedom, the comfort, the security of knowing that you are already where you want to be. The key to making this real is not in the waiting, not in wishing. It is in feeling that it is already done, as though it has already come into being. That feeling is the bridge between the inner and outer world. When you embody it, your life shifts in ways you cannot imagine. The doors open, the opportunities arise, and you find yourself living in the very reality you once only dreamed of. This is not some abstract or distant dream. It is the reality that you create, starting from within. The moment you step into that feeling of fulfillment, your entire world begins to reshape. The job, the money, the success. All these things fall into place because they are simply reflections of the truth you have assumed for yourself. And this truth is, you are already the person who has everything you've ever wanted. Once you fully embody the reality of already having what you desire, there is no longer any need to chase or struggle. The universe will respond in kind, mirroring back the world you have already created inside. You are now living from the end, not the beginning. You are not waiting for things to happen. You are acting from a place of knowing that they have already happened. This is the secret to manifesting everything you desire. This is the power of stepping into your desired reality. Zero words in speech must be an educational way. When you truly begin to understand the profound power of assumption, you unlock a reality that operates entirely by the laws of your own consciousness. The world that you see, the events that unfold, and the people you encounter are all direct reflections of the internal assumptions you hold about yourself and the world around you. It is not the world that shapes you, but your inner convictions that shape your world. This truth is not some abstract concept. It is a law that governs everything in existence. What you assume to be true, what you believe in your heart and mind, must eventually manifest in the external world. If you assume a reality of lack, poverty, or limitation, then that will become your experience. If, however, you assume a reality of abundance, success, and prosperity, you will soon see your life mirror that assumption. This idea may seem simple at first glance, yet it is the cornerstone of all transformation. The ability to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled is the most powerful tool you possess. You are not a passive observer in your life. You are the creator, the architect of your destiny, and it is through the power of assumption that you give life to your desires. Every desire, every wish, every goal that you have is not merely a thought to be hoped for. It is an assumption to be lived in the present moment. This is the crucial element of manifesting your desires. You must stop looking for external circumstances to change before you act. Instead, you must act from the assumption that your desired reality has already come into being. Consider for a moment the simple yet profound truth that the assumption you hold in your mind determines the circumstances you find yourself in. If you assume you are poor, your circumstances will inevitably reflect that assumption. But if you assume that you are abundant, that you are wealthy, that prosperity flows freely and easily into your life, then your circumstances must align with that inner state. The outer world can only reflect what is already within you. Therefore, when you change your inner assumptions, you change your outer world. The critical point here is that this process is not something that will happen in the distant future. It is not about waiting for some external event to trigger your success. It is about living from the end of your desire right now. If you want to live a life of wealth, abundance, and success, you must first assume the feeling of already being well. You must feel in every fiber of your being that you are already the person who possesses all that you desire. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, when you truly believe that the end result has already occurred, your world will begin to shift. You are no longer waiting for the universe to bring your desire to you. You are living as if it is already yours. This powerful assumption must be maintained, unwavering and unshaken. It is easy to say, I will be wealthy one day, but this leaves room for doubt. The true power lies in living as though you are already wealthy. Imagine for a moment that you already have the money, the success, the freedom you desire. What does that feel like? How does that influence the way you think, the way you act, the way you interact with the world? By assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you do not only think about your desires, you feel them as if they are already true. This is not a temporary exercise. It is a state of being. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled and persist in that assumption until it becomes so real to you that nothing can shake it. When you do this, the law of assumption goes to work. The universe begins to align with your inner state, and the people, events, and circumstances that reflect your assumptions will manifest in your life. You are not waiting for the world to give you what you desire. You are claiming it as already yours. If you are serious about manifesting wealth and abundance, you must commit to living from the end of your desire. This means that every action you take, every thought you think, and every feeling you experience must be in alignment with the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled. Your assumptions must be so strong, so persistent, that they drown out any doubt or contradiction that might arise. You cannot allow circumstances or appearances to dictate your assumptions. You must live in the assumption of your desired reality, regardless of what is happening in your external world. This is where many people go wrong. They start the process of manifestation by assuming their desires. But when they do not see immediate results, they abandon the assumption and revert back to their old beliefs. This is a fatal mistake. You must maintain your assumption consistently, regardless of what is happening around you. The world is merely a reflection of your inner assumptions. If you continue to assume the end result as already fulfilled, it will inevitably materialize in your physical world. You must also be mindful of your emotions. Emotions are the driving force behind your assumptions. The more intense the feeling you have when assuming your desired reality, the quicker it will manifest. Feel the joy, the satisfaction, the relief of having already achieved your goal. The stronger the emotion you attach to your assumption, the more power you give to it. Understand that this process is not a passive one. You are not waiting for life to deliver your desires to you. You are actively creating the reality you want to live in. Through your assumptions, you shape the world around you. You are the operant power in your life. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you give the universe no choice but to respond to that assumption. The circumstances, the people, the events that make up your world will begin to align with your assumption. When you maintain your assumption, when you live in the end of your desire, you will soon realize that the world has shifted to meet you. The key is to assume, with conviction and without wavering, that your desire is already yours. The moment you make that assumption and feel it deeply, your world will reflect that assumption back to you, and you will see the manifestation of your desires in ways you could never have imagined. The world you see, the experiences you have, and the outcomes you face are not random occurrences. They are all governed by a fundamental law, the law of assumption. What you assume to be true, what you believe in your heart and mind, must become your reality. The world is not shaping you. It is a mirror reflecting the assumptions you hold. Therefore, to change the circumstances of your life, you must first change your assumptions about yourself and the world around you. This law works in a way that seems almost too simple to be true, yet it is profoundly powerful. If you assume that your desires are already fulfilled, if you truly believe that the life you dream of is already yours, the world must reflect that belief. The only requirement is that you live from the end, from the place where your desires have already been realized. It is not about hoping that one day your circumstances will change. It is about living as though your dream has already come true. The assumption of the end result, as though it is already fulfilled, is the key that unlocks the door to manifestation. You see, the world is a mirror. It reflects the state of your assumptions. When you assume that wealth, success, or happiness are already part of your life, the universe begins to shift in subtle ways to bring that assumption into material form. However, you must fully embrace the fact that the outer world will always reflect your inner assumptions. Conversely, if you assume that abundance, success, and happiness are already yours, the world must mirror those assumptions as well. This is where most people miss the mark. They look at their external circumstances and allow them to dictate their assumptions. Instead, you must turn this process on its head. You must assume what you want to be true, regardless of the current state of affairs. Living from the end is a practice that requires you to act as though your desire has already manifested. You do not wait for the external world to change and then begin to live as though your dreams are true. No, you must live as though they are true right now. You must embody the feeling of already having your desires fulfilled. This is the essence of the law of assumption. When you live from the end, you are stepping into the reality where your desires already exist. You begin to feel what it would be like to already be the person you wish to become. You live in that state of mind, and the external world will shift to reflect that state. This is not a process of waiting for the external world to show you proof before you believe. It is the exact opposite. You believe first, and the external world follows. The key to making this process work is to persist in the assumption that your desire has already been fulfilled. It is not enough to assume it once and then wait for results. You must continue to live from the end of your desire until it is made manifest. The moment you assume that your wish is fulfilled, you are no longer in a state of lack, waiting, or wanting. You are in a state of already having. You must stop allowing the outside world to tell you what is possible and what is not. The power lies within you. You must take full control of your assumptions and begin to live from the end. Feel the success, feel the wealth, feel the love as though it is already yours. The world will begin to shift to reflect that assumption. Your reality will slowly but surely begin to rearrange itself, aligning with the assumptions you are holding in your mind. Living from the end means adopting the mindset of someone who has already achieved their goals. If you desire financial abundance, for instance, live as though you already have it. Feel the peace and security of having all the money you need. Let that feeling wash over you every day. Imagine yourself already living the lifestyle you desire, with no concern for money, no fear of scarcity. Feel the freedom that comes with financial security. When you assume the feeling of being financially secure, your world must begin to align with that assumption. Opportunities will appear, circumstances will change, and wealth will flow toward you in ways you never expected. But remember, this process is not about waiting for the external world to show you evidence of your desires. It is about assuming that those desires are already yours and living as though they are already true. The reason most people struggle with manifestation is that they continue to live in a state of wanting rather than having. Wanting is the opposite of having. When you want something, you are focused on the lack of it. You are saying to the universe, I do not have this thing yet. But when you live from the end, you are saying, I already have it. It is already mine. This subtle shift in mindset is the difference between manifesting your desires and remaining in a state of desire without fulfillment. If you want to manifest a loving relationship, for example, live as though you are already in that relationship. Feel the love, the joy, the companionship as if it is already a part of your life. You do not need to wait for the external circumstances to change first. You must feel love now. When you assume the feeling of being in a loving, fulfilling relationship, your external world must reflect that assumption. People will begin to show up in your life who mirror that assumption of love and connection. Living from the end is the most powerful tool for manifesting your desires. When you fully embrace this truth and begin to live from the end of your desire, you will notice that the world around you begins to change. It does not matter what your current circumstances are. The power to create your reality lies within you, in the assumptions you hold about yourself and your world. If you persist in the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled, your world will shift to reflect that assumption. You are the creator of your reality, and by living from the end of your desire, you are taking control of your life and manifesting your dreams. To truly understand the process of manifestation, it is essential to grasp the importance of imagination in shaping our reality. The human mind is far more powerful than most realize. It is not merely a tool for problem solving or decision making. It is the very medium through which the world we experience is formed. Every experience, every person you meet, every event that takes place in your life is a reflection of your inner state of mind. Your imagination is the canvas, and the thoughts you choose to entertain are the brushstrokes that paint the picture of your life. If you want to change your external world, you must begin by changing what you imagine. Imagination is not something separate from you. It is a part of your being. It is through your imagination that you can bring about any change in your life, no matter how big or small. The most profound shift in your life will occur when you begin to consciously direct your imagination toward the things you desire, rather than allowing it to run wild with fearful or negative thoughts. This is where the power of persistent imagination comes into play. It is not enough to simply think about your desires occasionally. You must live them, feel them, and create a vivid emotional connection to them. The more real and vivid the picture you hold in your mind, the more likely it is to materialize. This process begins with assumption. When you assume something to be true, your mind begins to accept it as fact. The power of assumption works hand in hand with imagination. Your imagination gives form to your assumptions, and your assumptions solidify those forms into your reality. If you assume that you are wealthy, your imagination will start to create images of yourself living a wealthy life. You will begin to see yourself in situations of abundance, in comfortable settings, and surrounded by prosperity. This is not a fleeting thought. It is an assumption that you hold in your mind with conviction. one that you consistently feed with your imagination. For this to work effectively, you must fully immerse yourself in the feeling of your assumption. To imagine that you are wealthy is not enough. You must feel wealthy in every way. You must experience the emotions, the sensations, and the thoughts of being wealthy. Imagine the comfort, the ease, the freedom that comes with financial security. Feel it deeply, as though it is happening right now. The power of this exercise lies in your ability to vividly imagine the fulfillment of your desire and to engage with it emotionally, as if it were happening in the present moment. The more vividly and emotionally you imagine your desire, the more it moves from a mere mental image to a living, breathing reality in your subconscious mind. This is the key to manifestation. The act of feeling your desire as if it is already real creates a state of mind in which the universe must respond. The more intense your emotional connection to your imagined desire, the more likely it is to materialize in your life. The imagination does not distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. The mind responds to the emotional energy you generate through your thoughts. When you feel the emotions associated with your desire, whether it is the peace of financial freedom, the joy of a loving relationship, or the excitement of career success, you send a powerful signal to your subconscious mind, which then goes to work to bring that image into your physical reality. However, it is important to note that persistence is key. The mind is naturally inclined to revert to familiar thoughts, especially when things seem difficult or when doubts arise. To counter this, you must persist in your imagination. Do not allow external circumstances or doubts to shake your assumption. The power lies in your ability to consistently imagine your desired outcome, even when you cannot yet see the evidence of it in your external world. If you want to manifest wealth, for instance, you must continue to imagine yourself as wealthy, feel the emotions of wealth, and maintain that state of mind despite what is happening around you. Eventually, the external world will catch up with the internal reality you have created. In the beginning, this process may feel like a struggle. You may feel disconnected from the reality you are trying to create, or you may encounter resistance from your mind, especially if your current circumstances do not align with your desire. This is where persistence comes into play. You must continue to imagine the fulfillment of your desire, no matter how long it takes. Over time, your mind will begin to accept this imagined reality as truth, and your external circumstances will begin to shift in response. It is also essential to understand that your imagination is not a passive process. It requires active engagement. You must visualize, feel, and experience the world you desire in your mind, using all the faculties at your disposal. Picture yourself in the situations that represent the fulfillment of your desire. Imagine how you will feel when your dreams are realized. Use all your senses to create a vivid mental picture of your success, and do not let go of that image. In the same way that an artist repeatedly adds strokes to a painting, you must continually add detail to your mental picture. The more you feed it with emotional energy, the more it grows, and the more real it becomes to your subconscious mind. This is the true power of your imagination. It is the bridge between your inner world and the outer reality you wish to experience. Your imagination allows you to create your future, to live in the world that you desire, even before it appears in the physical realm. By feeding your imagination with the feeling of fulfillment, you bring your desires into form. Your imagination is not just a passive tool. It is the active force that shapes your reality. The more you use it with intention and emotion, the more powerful and effective it becomes. And remember, it is not about waiting for the external world to change first. It is about changing your inner world through the persistent use of imagination. And in time, the external world will shift to match your new inner state. The universe is constantly responding to the vibrations you send out through your thoughts and feelings. By consistently using the power of imagination to assume the fulfillment of your desires, you are sending a clear and powerful signal to the universe. This signal is what attracts the conditions, people, and opportunities that will bring your desire to fruition. The more you engage your imagination and feel the emotions of your desired outcome, the faster you will see the external world reflect back your internal assumptions. You must recognize the power that resides within you to create and shape your reality. The world you experience is not a result of chance or fate, but rather a direct reflection of the assumptions you hold. Everything that manifests in your life begins with your internal world. It is not the circumstances around you that shape who you are or what you experience, but rather the beliefs, assumptions, and mental images you create within yourself. This is the profound truth that governs the process of manifestation. Your assumptions are the creative force that dictates the world you live in, and it is through persistent imagination and the assumption of the end result that you begin to see change. One of the most significant concepts you must embrace to change your reality is the idea of living from the end. This means that instead of waiting for things to change around you, you must live as though the desired outcome has already been achieved. The key to manifesting anything in your life, whether it is financial abundance, a fulfilling relationship, or career success, is to assume that the desired result is already a part of your reality. When you live from the end, you stop focusing on what is lacking and instead direct your attention to what is already fulfilled. You do not look at your circumstances to validate your assumptions. Instead, you make your assumptions feel real by living in them now. Living from the end is not simply a mental exercise. It is a way of being, a state of mind that you must cultivate and maintain in order to see lasting change. The power of living from the end lies in its ability to shift your energy and vibration. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you align yourself with that reality. You no longer see yourself as someone who is striving or yearning for something. You have already attained it. The feeling of fulfillment, of already being the person you wish to become, becomes the dominant energy you project into the world. This energy then influences the events, circumstances, and people you encounter. Your world will begin to rearrange itself to match the state of mind you have adopted. Imagine for a moment that you are already living the life you have always desired. Imagine you are financially abundant, living in your dream home, traveling to the places you've always wanted to visit, or enjoying the perfect relationship. Feel the emotions of that life as if they are happening right now. This is living from the end, fully experiencing the emotions and feelings associated with your desires as though they are already your reality. The more vividly and emotionally you connect to the fulfillment of your desire, the more real it becomes to your subconscious mind. The subconscious does not differentiate between what is real and what is imagined. It accepts whatever you feed it with conviction, whether positive or negative. Now, as you continue to live from the end, you must recognize the power of persistence in this process. You must consistently return to the assumption of your desired outcome, regardless of external circumstances. The key to transforming your reality is not to allow the present moment to dictate your beliefs. Instead, you must remain steadfast in your assumption that your desire is already fulfilled. The process of manifestation requires constant faith in the unseen, the unmanifested, and the unknown. It requires you to trust in the process, even when the evidence of your desire's fulfillment has not yet appeared. For example, if you are seeking financial abundance and assume that you are already wealthy, the first challenge you may face is the appearance of lack in your life. Perhaps bills are piling up, or opportunities for wealth seem far out of reach. In these moments, it is crucial that you continue to live from the end of your assumption. Do not let the circumstances convince you otherwise. Keep the mental picture of yourself as already wealthy. Keep the feeling of abundance alive in your mind and body. And do not let the current state of your external world dictate your inner reality. The more you persist in your assumption, the more the world will align with it. Persistence does not mean simply thinking about your desire from time to time. It means actively engaging with your assumption day in and day out. You must be vigilant in maintaining the state of mind that aligns with your desired outcome. The more time you spend in the assumption of your fulfilled desire, the more it becomes part of your being. It becomes less of a wish and more of a known fact. Your assumption must become a living, breathing part of you. When you persist in living from the end, you begin to notice changes in your external world. Opportunities will arise, situations will shift, and you will be drawn to the people and experiences that reflect your inner assumptions. It is important to understand that living from the end is not about forcing outcomes or trying to control how your desires will manifest. It is about allowing the natural flow of life to bring your assumptions into form. When you live in the assumption of already having your desires, you open yourself up to receive the solutions and opportunities that were always available to you. The universe will respond to your state of mind by delivering the circumstances that match your assumptions. The world you experience will always reflect the state of mind you hold within. The power of living from the end is that it eliminates the need for effort and struggle. You are no longer fighting for something, striving to reach an end goal. Instead, you are allowing your desires to naturally unfold because you are already living as though they are a reality. When you live from the end, there is no longer a gap between what you want and what you have. You stop focusing on the how and when of your desires. Instead, you allow them to manifest by embodying the end result now. To truly step into the power of living from the end, you must align your actions, thoughts, and emotions with the assumption of your fulfilled desire. This means that your daily actions should reflect the person you are becoming. If you want to manifest financial success, for example, you must act in ways that align with that success. You do not wait for your bank account to reflect your wealth. You begin to act, think, and feel as though you are already wealthy. This might mean making decisions with confidence, taking actions that reflect abundance, or even spending money in ways that feel aligned with the wealthy version of yourself. When you begin to act in this way, you are reinforcing your assumption, and you will soon see the external world reflect this new internal state. Living from the end is the key to manifesting your desires. By assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled and persisting in that assumption, you align yourself with the reality you wish to experience. The more vividly and emotionally you connect to your desired outcome, the faster your world will shift to reflect it. You are the creator of your reality, and the law of assumption is the tool that allows you to manifest everything you desire. Live from the end, and the world will begin to conform to your vision. The mind is an extraordinarily powerful force that shapes every aspect of our lives. It is through our thoughts, assumptions, and beliefs that we create the reality we experience. The way we think about money, for instance, directly affects how we experience it. If you constantly think of money as something that is difficult to come by, that it is scarce or hard to attain, then that assumption will be reflected in your financial life. However, if you begin to shift your mindset and assume that money flows easily and effortlessly into your life, you will begin to see your circumstances change in response. This is not just wishful thinking. It is the fundamental truth about the power of the mind to create external results. The first step in manifesting wealth is to understand that wealth is not something you acquire by external means alone. It is something you attract by changing your inner assumptions. Wealth is not a result of chance or luck. It is a natural outcome of assuming that you already possess it. The most important thing to remember is that money does not come from the outside. It comes from the inner assumption that wealth is yours. When you assume the feeling of wealth, the world around you must reflect that assumption. To manifest money, you must feel wealthy now, not in some distant future, but in the present moment. The power of your imagination is key here. Imagination is not just for daydreaming. It is the tool through which you can create your future. Imagine yourself already living the life of abundance you desire. See yourself having all the money you could ever need, living freely, and experiencing the ease and comfort of financial security. The more vivid and real you make this imagined scenario in your mind, the more real it will become in your external world. As you begin to imagine yourself wealthy, it is essential that you also feel the emotions associated with having wealth. If you want money to flow to you effortlessly, you must assume the feeling of already having it. Feel the security, the peace, the freedom that comes with financial abundance. Emotion is the driving force behind manifestation. The stronger the emotional charge you attach to your assumptions, the faster they will manifest. If you want wealth, feel wealthy now, and the universe must respond. This process is not about waiting for money to appear in your life. It is about assuming the state of being that is already in alignment with your desires. Money is not something you acquire outside yourself. It is something that reflects the inner assumption that you are worthy of wealth. You do not need to wait for the physical world to give you proof of your wealth. You create the proof by assuming the feeling of being wealthy, and the outer world must conform to this assumption. Living from the end is one of the most powerful tools in manifestation. When you live from the end, you are living as if your desire has already been fulfilled. If you desire money, live as though you are already wealthy. The moment you assume this state, you align yourself with the energy of wealth, and your world begins to mirror that assumption. You stop focusing on the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Instead, you focus on the state of already having your desire. One of the key aspects of manifesting wealth is to recognize that your assumption of wealth must not be contingent on external circumstances. It does not matter what your bank account looks like or whether you have the job you want right now. What matters is the assumption that you are already wealthy. Money will not come to you because you are waiting for your circumstances to change. It will come to you because you are living from the assumption that wealth is already yours. The key to manifesting wealth is to stop thinking of it as something outside of you that you need to chase. Instead, recognize that wealth is an internal state of mind. When you assume the feeling of wealth, you are not trying to get something from the outside world. You are aligning yourself with the natural flow of abundance that exists within you. The world will then begin to reflect this inner assumption, and you will see money flow into your life in unexpected ways. You must also understand that manifesting wealth requires consistency and persistence. It is not enough to assume the feeling of wealth one day and then let doubt take over the next. The process of manifestation requires consistent emotional alignment with the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled. If you persist in the feeling of wealth, it will eventually be reflected in your outer reality. But if you allow doubt or fear to disrupt your assumption, you slow down the process. Therefore, it is essential to remain consistent in your assumptions, no matter what your current circumstances may suggest. If you want wealth, you must assume that wealth is already a part of your life. Even when the external world does not seem to reflect this assumption, you must continue to live as if it is already true. The more you persist in this inner assumption, the more you will begin to see changes in your external reality. It is also important to recognize that money is simply an energy that flows freely when it is in alignment with your assumptions. When you focus on money as a source of security, peace, and freedom, you align yourself with its flow. You stop struggling for it and start allowing it to come to you naturally. This shift in mindset is crucial. Manifesting wealth is about becoming a magnet for abundance. And the more you align your thoughts, emotions, and assumptions with abundance, the more naturally wealth will come to you. You must remember that you are not limited by your current circumstances. Your financial situation today does not dictate what you can have tomorrow. The power to create wealth lies within your mind. If you assume that you are wealthy and live in that assumption every day, you will begin to see your circumstances shift. It may not happen overnight, but the more you persist in assuming wealth, the more wealth will naturally flow into your life. Ultimately, manifesting money is about recognizing that wealth is not something outside of you that you have to chase or work for. It is an energy that flows to you in direct proportion to the assumptions you hold about yourself. When you assume the feeling of wealth, you align yourself with that energy, and the universe responds by bringing your desires into being. Money flows easily and effortlessly to those who live in the assumption of its abundance. Keep the assumption alive in your mind, and the external world must reflect that assumption back to you in tangible, material form. To manifest wealth and abundance in your life, one of the most profound truths you must embrace is the idea that affirmations for wealth are not just statements to repeat. They are powerful tools to shape your reality. The words you speak, the beliefs you hold, and the feelings you cultivate are the very building blocks of your life. It is through your inner assumptions and the words you affirm to yourself that you begin to create the life you desire. When it comes to wealth, the act of repeating affirmations is not simply a mechanical practice. It is a way to align yourself with a feeling of abundance, security, and prosperity. These affirmations are your declaration of the reality you are choosing to live in. The key to manifesting wealth through affirmations lies in the power of belief. When you speak an affirmation, you are not just repeating words out loud, you are planting a seed in your subconscious mind. The subconscious mind accepts whatever is impressed upon it, whether it is true or false, whether it is beneficial or harmful. When you repeat the affirmation, I am wealthy, money flows to me effortlessly, or I am abundant in every way, you are impressing the feeling of wealth onto your subconscious mind. This is not just an intellectual exercise. It is a process of aligning your mind and emotions with the reality of abundance. The more you speak the affirmation with feeling and conviction, the more it takes root in your subconscious mind, and the more your external world must begin to reflect this internal reality. You must understand that affirmations work because they change your inner state. As you repeat these statements, you begin to feel the truth of them. The power of an affirmation is in the feeling it evokes. If you speak an affirmation without truly feeling it, it will have little to no impact on your reality. The key to successful affirmation is to say the words and truly feel them as though they are already true. For example, when you affirm, I am financially abundant, it is not enough to just say it. You must feel the abundance as though you are already living in it. Feel the peace, the freedom, the security of having all the money you need. As you create this emotional connection to your affirmation, you begin to align your inner world with the outer reality you are trying to manifest. Affirmations must also be used consistently. Many people make the mistake of thinking that a few affirmations here and there will bring about immediate results. But the process of manifestation requires persistence and repetition. If you want to manifest wealth, you must live in the assumption that wealth is already yours. The more you affirm this reality, the more it will feel like your natural state of being. The key is to saturate your mind with thoughts of abundance and wealth. This consistent repetition does not just change your thoughts, it changes your beliefs. And once your beliefs shift, your reality will begin to shift accordingly. When you affirm something, you are not trying to make something happen. You are declaring a truth about your life. You are speaking into existence what you already know is true in your imagination. Your imagination is the blueprint, and the affirmations are the tool that aligns your physical reality with that blueprint. To affirm wealth is to claim that wealth is already yours. You are not asking for wealth to come to you. You are living as though it is already here. And the more you affirm this state of abundance, the more it becomes your reality. The universe responds to the energy you put out, and your energy is determined by the thoughts and beliefs you hold. It is important to remember that affirmations should be aligned with your desired outcome, not with a state of lack. If you affirm things like, I want to be wealthy, or I hope I will get money, you are not aligning yourself with the feeling of abundance. Instead, you are focusing on the lack of wealth, and that focus on what is missing only perpetuates the feeling of absence. Instead, your affirmations should reflect the truth of the abundance you are assuming. You must affirm as though you already possess the wealth you desire. Speak your affirmations from the standpoint of already having it, and the more you immerse yourself in that state of mind, the quicker it will be reflected in your reality. A common misunderstanding about affirmations is that they only work when things are going well or when you already see evidence of success. But this is not the case. The most powerful affirmations come from the belief that your desired reality exists beyond the physical evidence. The world does not need to confirm your belief in abundance before you act as though you are abundant. You must trust that your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions are the true creators of your reality. When you speak your affirmations with conviction and feel the emotions of already being abundant, you are activating the law of attraction. The physical evidence may not appear immediately, but as you continue to affirm and live from the assumption of your success, the universe begins to align with that inner state. Another important aspect of using affirmations for wealth is to create an environment that supports your new mindset. Surround yourself with reminders of your desired reality. Use visualizations, images, or objects that help reinforce the feeling of abundance. When you visualize yourself in a state of wealth, affirm it with your words and emotions. The more you reinforce this state of being, the quicker it will manifest in your life. Affirmations are not isolated statements. They are part of a larger process of creating the mental environment for your desires to grow. Your affirmations should not just be statements. They should be expressions of belief. As you speak them, you should experience a sense of certainty in the truth of what you are saying. When you affirm, "I am wealthy," you are not just repeating words. You are declaring that you already exist in the reality of wealth. As you affirm, you step into the feeling of already being wealthy, already having everything you desire. The more deeply you engage with your affirmations, the more they will shift your internal world. The internal shift will then lead to external changes that reflect the new reality you have assumed. Affirmations are a direct path to creating wealth because they focus on aligning your inner state with the vibration of abundance. When you speak words of wealth, abundance, and success, you are creating a vibration within yourself that matches the reality you wish to experience. This vibration sends out signals to the universe, attracting the people, opportunities, and circumstances that align with your desires. By consistently affirming your wealth and living in the assumption that it is already yours, you bring your external world into harmony with your internal state. This is how wealth is created, not through struggle or effort, but through a deep belief in the abundance that already exists within you. The process of manifesting a life of abundance, success, and prosperity is not a passive one. It requires that you become aware of your inner assumptions, recognize their power, and intentionally guide them toward the reality you wish to create. One of the most important things to understand is that abundance is already present within you. You do not need to wait for some external event or change in your circumstances to access it. All you need to do is assume the feeling of abundance and step into that state of mind, allowing it to unfold in your life. The idea of abundance mindset is often misunderstood. It is not simply about focusing on the concept of wealth or material things. It is about aligning your consciousness with the very energy of abundance. To do this, you must start by changing your inner assumptions about money, success, and prosperity. Your external world is merely a reflection of your inner beliefs. If you hold the assumption that wealth is difficult to attain, or that you are not deserving of it, then that is the reality you will experience. However, when you shift your assumptions to those of abundance and possibility, the external world must respond in kind. To truly embody an abundance mindset, you must stop thinking about money or wealth in terms of lack and limitation. The language you use and the thoughts you hold will either affirm or contradict the reality you wish to create. For example, if you catch yourself saying things like, "I can't afford this," or "money is always tight," you are reinforcing the very lack you wish to eliminate. Instead, Shift your thinking to affirm that wealth flows freely into your life. Use affirmations that reflect the reality of abundance. I am worthy of abundance. Money comes to me easily and effortlessly. I am a magnet for wealth. These affirmations are not just words. They are statements of assumption that shape the way you see yourself and the world around you. As you repeat these affirmations, feel the truth of them. Feel the emotional shift that occurs when you step into the assumption of already being wealthy. It is not enough to simply think the thoughts. You must embody the feeling of abundance. When you do this, you align yourself with the energetic vibration of wealth, and the universe will begin to respond to that frequency. The law of attraction does not work by wishful thinking alone. It responds to the feeling that you carry with you every day. Your internal state must be one of abundance, and it must be sustained by your thoughts, words, and actions. The law of assumption works when you live from the end. This means that you do not wait for the external world to provide proof that your desires are possible. You must live as though your desires are already a reality. If you want to manifest financial abundance, you must begin to act, think, and feel as though you are already wealthy. This does not mean that you must wait for your bank account to reflect the change before you begin to live the life you desire. Instead, you must live from the assumption of having what you want now. The more you assume that wealth is already yours, the more you will experience opportunities, circumstances, and events that align with that assumption. To live in an abundance mindset is to embrace the idea that there is no limit to what you can receive. Often people restrict themselves because they think there is a finite amount of wealth or opportunity in the world. They believe that others must suffer for them to thrive. This is a false belief. The universe is infinite, and so is the abundance it provides. When you align yourself with the idea that there is more than enough for everyone, you open yourself up to receive limitless opportunities. This is not about greed or selfishness. It is about embracing the truth that abundance is available to all. There is no need to compete for it, as there is more than enough to go around. When you adopt an abundance mindset, you begin to approach life from a place of trust and faith. You trust that the universe will provide everything you need and that your desires will manifest in their perfect time. This faith comes from the deep inner knowing that you are worthy of receiving wealth and abundance, and that the world around you is simply reflecting your inner assumptions. When you truly embrace this truth, you release the need to control every detail of how your desires will manifest. Instead, you trust the process and allow the universe to bring the right people, circumstances, and opportunities into your life. The abundance mindset also requires that you let go of resistance. Resistance is often the result of fear, doubt, and limiting beliefs. When you fear that there is not enough, or when you worry about how things will unfold, you create a block in the flow of abundance. You cannot be in a state of fear and receive wealth at the same time. The two are incompatible. Letting go of resistance means trusting that everything is unfolding perfectly, even if you cannot yet see the evidence of it in your physical reality. Trust that the universe is always working to bring your desires to fruition. When you release resistance and allow yourself to feel the ease of abundance, you make space for it to flow freely into your life. One of the most powerful ways to step into an abundance mindset is to practice gratitude. Gratitude is a powerful tool for shifting your energy and attracting more of what you desire. When you are grateful for what you already have, you acknowledge the abundance that is already present in your life. This, in turn, signals to the universe that you are open to receiving more. The more grateful you are, the more you will see opportunities for abundance. This practice shifts your focus from lack to abundance, and that shift is the key to unlocking even greater prosperity. It is also important to recognize that abundance is not just about money. While financial wealth is often the most obvious form of abundance, it is only one aspect of it. True abundance is about wealth in every area of your life, your relationships, your health, your career, your experiences. When you embrace abundance in all its forms, you open yourself up to a richer, more fulfilling life. Financial wealth will naturally flow when you understand that abundance is a mindset that encompasses every part of your life. It is not just about acquiring things, but about experiencing life in a state of overflow. The key to living in an abundance mindset is to align your thoughts, feelings, and actions with the reality of abundance. Your internal world must reflect the truth that wealth and abundance are your natural states. When you do this, the universe will reflect that truth back to you, bringing opportunities, people, and circumstances that align with your abundant state. The more you embrace this mindset, the more you will see your external world shift to mirror it. Abundance is your birthright, and when you embrace it fully, it will flow into your life effortlessly.